Hi guys, this is Mrs. Walker. This video is on reviewing one-step addition and subtraction equations. First, let's look at the equation x plus 9 equals 16. To solve this equation, we must isolate the variable on one side of the equal sign. To do this, we need to use inverse operations. This means if the equation asks us to add, we are going to instead subtract. And if the equation asks us to subtract, we are going to instead add. So looking at this equation, we want to get x by itself. Instead of adding 9, we will subtract 9 from both sides of the equation. Plus 9 minus 9 is 0, isolating x by itself. And on the other side, we have 16 minus 9, which is 7. So we think our answer is x equals 7. However, before we decide this is actually the answer, we need to check our calculations. To check, we rewrite the equation x plus 9 equals 16. We substitute the 7 in for the x. 7 plus 9 equals 16. Is 7 plus 9 16? Yes. Then the answer, x equals 7, is true. Let's try another equation. Y minus 7 equals 12. In this equation, we need to isolate y. Instead of subtracting 7, we're going to add 7 to both sides of the equation to keep it balanced. Minus 7 plus 7 is going to be equal to 0, leaving y isolated. 12 plus 7 is 19. To see if our calculations are correct, we check our answer. We rewrite the equation y minus 7 equals 12. We substitute 19 in for y, and we decide, is 19 minus 7 12? Yes, it is. So y is equal to 19. In 7th grade, we add integers to our one-step equations. So let's quickly go over integers rules. If both numbers in the problem have the same sign, we add the numbers. If they have different signs, we subtract the numbers. And then at the end, we take the absolute value of each number to determine the sign. So let's do an example. 12 plus negative 3. The signs are different, so we subtract. 12 minus 3 is 9. We take the absolute value of 12, it's 12. We take the absolute value of negative 3, it's 3. Which one's larger? The 12. So the answer is positive. Negative 7 plus negative 10. In this problem, the signs are the same, so we add. 7 plus 10 is 17. They're both negative, so the answer remains negative. In subtraction, it's a little bit different. We do not subtract. Instead, we add the inverse, which means the opposite. So our example is negative 13 minus 6. We recopy the problem, negative 13, but we add the opposite. The number is 6. The opposite of 6 is negative 6. So this now looks like a problem we already know how to do, an addition problem. They're both negative, so same signs add. 13 and 6 is 19. They were both negative, so the answer is negative. Let's add our integers into our equations. First equation, x plus 7 equals negative 16. We want to isolate x on the left side, so we look at the constant, which is plus 7. The inverse of plus 7 would be subtract 7. So we subtract 7 from both sides of the equation to keep it equal. Plus 7 minus 7 is 0, so x is isolated. The other side of the equation is negative 16 minus 7. But we don't subtract negative numbers, we add the inverse. The inverse of 7 would be negative 7. Okay, same signs add, that would be 23. They're both negative, so the answer should be negative. So we check our work. We recopy the equation, x plus 7 equals negative 16. We think the answer is negative 23, so we write negative 23 for the x, plus 7 equals negative 16. Same signs add, but these are different signs, so we subtract 23 minus 7. We borrow, and we get 16. We take the absolute value of negative 23, which is 23, and we take the absolute value of 7, which is 7. Which absolute value is larger than negative 23? So the answer is negative 16. X equals negative 23 is in fact correct. So let's try this problem by yourself. X minus 4 equals negative 2. Isolate x on one side of the equal sign. Instead of subtracting 4, we're going to add 4 to both parts of the problem. Minus 4 plus 4 is going to be 0, isolating x. And on the other side, we have minus 2 plus 4. When the signs are different, we subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. We take the absolute value of both. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2. The absolute value of 4 is 4. So the positives are greater. So we check our problem. We rewrite the equation, x minus 4 equals negative 2. We substitute positive 2 in because we think that's what x is. 2 minus 4 equals negative 2. We do not subtract negative numbers. We instead add the opposite. So the signs are different. 4 minus 2 is 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. So there are more negatives in this problem.